Hi, everybody. Mike Handcock here, and I'm the chairman of the Circle of Excellence group of companies. And welcome to today's Global Intelligence Update. We've got a short but vibrant chat and discussion today. It probably won't be that short, actually. Hi, Ian. Welcome, and lovely to have you here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my presentation here, and then I'll take you through it. But I want to start off by asking a couple of questions. But so I want to make this pretty interactive. You guys know me that I like to do things interactively. So let's just make sure that this one is interactive as well. So we're going to be having a look at a focus of fundamentals here. And my focus for everybody here is really over the next 4 months. So making sure that you've got the basics right. But my question for you, and feel free to unmute if you wish to answer this question, or at least give me your version of it, is what are your fundamentals? What are your basics that you need to focus on in the next 4 months?
I'll jump in and then as I'm
Thanks,
totally
Claire.
in it. So I'm launching my new blueprint. Ian, thank you for the referral with Luzon. We're kind of working on that. That's really cool. So customer service week is first week of October, and I'm going to be launching the new blueprint in Las Vegas, which is really cool. And then the next 4 months will be kind of that launch and the energy to go right to Christmas and that. So really excited about that.
That'll be great. Las Vegas, lovely place. Now that summer is over, it won't be so hot. So coming from Jersey, you won't be too put out in Las Vegas. Karen says marketing here. So fundamental focus on marketing. Very cheeky, Karen, because you know that's what we're talking about next. Ingi, what do you think's your fundamental focus? And then I'll go to Ian.
Hi, good morning. So my focus currently is working on my IMDb. I have worked furiously the last couple of months to meet with directors, producers, interact with them, networking. I've just wrapped on an American production. So yes, lining up work for the next few months is really crucial, and that really only works doing a lot of networking. So yeah, I'm in full force.
That's great. Good news.
And I know from coming up.
I know from being on IMDb, it's they change it around quite a bit, and they're very, very strict with what they allow. Sort of like being on Wikipedia in many respects. It's quite strict. So so good luck with that. That's great. Ian?
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I've done very little on marketing for the last sort of year, and focused a lot on relationships, which has gone well, and we've got good revenue from that. But now the pipeline is sort of drying up. So we've put in a strategy. We're going to do 50 weeks of 3 videos a week, two-minute videos. I've shot the first 45 last week. And I will do the next 45 still this month, and then more. But we're actually going to be reusing the content. So we're going for using it on YouTube and LinkedIn as the sort of marketing piece. But the same content is needed by our clients. So we are doing a different packaging of the same thing with a programmatic rollout to somebody who's done the assessment can now get 15 videos that talks about their result and what they can do with that result. And then we're taking all of that and putting it into a journal, which we are hoping to launch in December as a Christmas gift, where people will have a 50-week, 5-day-a-week journal on the same principles.
How nice. Very good. And, it's fun to do that sort of stuff, no doubt. And I think it's a great initiative, but it's not a small initiative. I know that from doing this sort of stuff. It's definitely not small. So well done. Okay, so we've got some good ones. Let's move on. So success equals value multiplied by leverage. So this is the number one fundamental that really should drive everything in your business. So if you want to be successful at whatever you do, you have to focus always at refining your value. So what does that mean? It means fine-tuning it. And to be quite honest, most of us are like those old radios that we used to have in the 60s and 70s, where we used to have to tune it to the station. And most of us go slightly off the station after a while. And if we don't refine our value, then somebody else can be looking at our value and go, look, they're way off the mark. I can't even hear them. I don't even know what music they play. So refining that value is a constant for everybody. So what that looks like for each of you, I'm going to get into this a little bit, but what that looks like for each of you should be one of the things that you're focused on, definitely. And then success equals value multiplied by leverage. So there's two ways that you can leverage fundamentally. One of them is to magnify what you're doing, and the other one is to multiply what you're doing. So if you listen to Ian's marketing concept of doing 3 videos a week for the next 50 weeks, that's a magnification leverage strategy, okay? So that's what it is. But also updating your IMDb profile is also a magnification leverage strategy. So they're good things, but also maybe look at some multiplication strategies as well. So what are multiplication strategies? What strategic partners can you work with? What stages can you be on so that you're talking one to many, et cetera, et cetera. So I want you to just remember this formula because it is the most important thing. In order to prepare for that, you have to declutter and tidy up in order to help people trust you. So when was the last time you gave your LinkedIn a good work over and made sure things were up to date? Let me ask you this question. When was the last time you got a testimonial on LinkedIn? If I look at it, and I looked at somebody who I rate really highly just recently, and I often use them as an example of somebody who's doing great, and I can't use them anymore because their last testimonial was in 2022. That's 3 years ago. So they obviously haven't, it's not that they don't do a great job, they're still doing a great and wonderful job. It's just they haven't been focusing on that. So they need to tidy that up. And your website, is your website tidy? Is it out of date? What's going on with your website? Does that need a tidy up as well? So are the photos still relevant? Are the contact details still relevant? Do you have courses or things up there that have gone past? Now, I have to put my hand up. I'm guilty of all of these things that I'm telling you now. And at some stage over the next couple of months, we need to tidy our act up as well because things move on. My LinkedIn profile, it's not bad, but it definitely needs a bit of a tidy up. My website definitely needs a bit of a tidy up. My personal website needs a major overhaul. I haven't overhauled that in years. So I'm aware of it. It's making time for this because the idea is to help people trust you. And it's so fascinating that, what we do changes so much. Just in the last couple of weeks, I reached out to around about 100 people that I'd had, really in-depth conversations with in the last 2 years about being a client of ours in some form or other. However that works for them, it works. But moving from being somebody we like who's observing us and engaging with us quite a lot, et cetera, to actually being a client. I am blown away that around 7 out of 10 of those people that I've talked to are not doing anything like what they were doing when I chatted to them last time. 7 in 10. Now, they may still be coaching, but they've got, instead of their coaching on teams, they're now doing leadership. That's entirely different. I had one of them move from running an aviation company to being a real estate agent. I had another one moving from being an art dealer to running a restaurant. So, what we're all doing needs tidying up. And that means your whole digital footprints as well. And this is painful. It's a job for a Saturday afternoon when it's non-business time, or a Friday afternoon when your clients aren't around. This is the time where you go in and say, are the posts that I've got up at the moment, that are registering when people Google me, the things that I want to have said about me. If not, take them down. Their day is over. They're the videos, you know. Ian, you've had a completely huge makeover in the last 3-4 years, right? So getting rid of those videos that are pre the new version of Ian, because they're not, unless you wanted to post them as the before and after, which is perfectly fine. That's the sort of stuff that you've got to do. I had to go and get rid of 400 videos off YouTube during COVID because in 2018, I lost 15 kilograms over what I was in 2014, 15, 16, and 17. And I created a whole lot of video content then, of which I looked a lot fatter. And there's still stuff out there, but I've got rid of most of it. So you've just got to do this to help people trust you. So let me ask you guys, what do you have to tidy up in your own space? Ian says here, we're simultaneously tidying up mine and the business's LinkedIn website and digital footprint to align with the new marketing strategy. That's fantastic. I mean, I don't know where you get the time to do this, Ian, because it really does take a lot of time, right? But, you know, it's have-tos. We have to do this. Welcome to Stephanie. I didn't see you there as well. So lovely to have you on the call. Yeah, the key is having somebody to do it, okay? But if you don't have somebody to do it, the key is maybe putting an hour aside a week for the next 6 weeks to do this, because if you can do that, then you will knock a lot of it on the head. It's not necessarily a big job, but it seems like a daunting job when you get into it. And quite frankly, most of us would rather be speaking, coaching, training, making money, selling, etc., rather than seeing if a video we put up 5 years ago is still relevant. But that work needs to be done. Okay, anybody else? What are you doing? Let's hear from somebody.
Can I just give a little tip on how to declutter your life?
Yeah, please.
I bought this a week ago, and it's called a smart notebook. And it's erasable, and you can digitize everything that you write. So you can scan it and put it electronically on your phone. And I've gotten rid of like 100 papers and notebooks and things. So I keep everything in my bag and on my desk in one book.
Yeah, way to go.
Yeah. At the same time, I'm also like you, I've lost 11 kilograms. So I'm working spontaneously on my body, my business, my life, my everything at the same time. So
congratulations. That's wonderful.
thank you. On all levels, I'm decluttering and simplifying, working on my LinkedIn, my website, my digital footprint. And it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but I'm setting time apart every day.
Wonderful. Really good. Let me ask Cindy, what are you doing to tidy up and make sure everything's relevant?
Thanks. Morning, everyone. Please excuse the voice. So what I've done is, my plan is, there's a dual running plan. I'm working on my exit strategy from the corporate world at the same time. So what I've been doing is 2 mornings a week, I get up 2 hours earlier. I spend an hour on my LinkedIn profile. So I've been looking at how do I change that. And then I do an hour of stuff that we've been through. So if there's something specific that I highlighted, I've made notes on what I need to do, and I've been working on that. So that's the plan is, to get everything ready, and I've got a deadline to do that.
That's fantastic. And I think that's an excellent plan, and it's a good plan for many of us if we just are prepared to get up a couple of hours earlier, a couple of days a week, in the quiet time before the family gets up or before the phones ring or whatever happens in your life happens. I mean, that's how I got through university in my 30s, because I never had the opportunity to go when most people go in your, late teens, early 20s. So I had to go to in my 30s, already was in my corporate job. And I did exactly the same thing, Cindy. I used to go to the office at 4 a.m, 2 days a week, and do all my assignments for university. And that's how I fast-tracked my way through. So it's just putting that time aside. And for many of us, it's putting that time aside to think. And you can't think where you're sitting probably right now. You need to get out and get into some nature, go sit at the beach, go sit in a park, go sit at the forest, go sit in a cafe and watch the people go by, you know, with your nice new fancy notebook, Inga, which is a great concept, by the way. I think it's really wonderful. And just start to think about the different things that you need to do. So let's remember, we're talking about really the things that you have to do to transform and change here. This is the fundamental undertones of tidying things up. So let's move into the next thing. Now we're talking about value. So the first bit of value is, what are you actually selling? And can you break this into 3 simple services or products? So is there a baseline? And a baseline is the type of things that pay the bills and keep the lights on. Now, I'm using something that we're doing here. So, you know, we run a lot of masterminds and platinum mastermind type of events. And generally speaking, the money we make from those in a given year pretty much pays the expenses. It's not actually our baseline. We have another baseline, but this is actually one that I can easily explain to you. So we have a series of events that pay the rent. That's basically what it is. What pays your rent? And then the next one is stretch. So what is your stretch concept that is something that you've got to reach for? And for us, that's our Circle of Excellence Gold membership. You know, it's not the cheapest product in the suite of products that we have. Ian's nodding because he's a Circle of Excellence Gold member. It's a lot more expensive than when you bought it back in 2018, Ian, by the way. But, you know, it is a stretch. It's a stretch for people. It's a stretch to find people for it and all of those type of things. And then what's the grand slam for you that if you're able to secure this deal, that, you know, all your worries are over for a long time? For us, it's licensing deals. So, you know, licensing deals where we license our intellectual property. So, you know, we have licensing deals with different companies, mainly in the US and Asia, that license our intellectual property. And that is our grand slam. That's what, you know, when you see Mike and Landy living the lifestyle type of thing, that's really the stuff that's paying for it. So the key to this is that your value currently should be researched so that it meets the market. So at the moment, I'm looking at making significant changes to our Circle of Excellence Gold membership. Again, our last significant changes were 2 years ago, maybe 3. So I'm looking to do it again just to make sure it meets the market for 2026. And then it has to be simple, because whatever you're marketing, people don't have the bandwidth to take on a lot of what you're trying to tell them in detail. They want simple solutions these days. They want to know that if they give you X, that they're going to get Y, and it's going to get them to their destination. They don't need all the fluff. They don't need all the stuff around it. Some people do, but they're in the minority. And your products and services have to be now. So you've got to be able to roll them out instantly. What can you do? So our various masterminds and events are staged during the year, so at different time frames, so that people can come to them at different spaces, which make sense for people. So that's what I mean by research, simple, and now. So let me ask you guys this. Can somebody give me an illustration? Claire, I'll go to you because you've done a lot of work on this. An illustration of what's going to be your baseline going forward.
Yeah, so the baseline, I think, will be my keynote, although I think some people may see the other way around, but I think through the keynote, because this is already my platform, this is where I'm kind of, I will be attracting people, which then goes into my stretch, which will be the more of the coaching and the program, the blueprint program and the certification program that I'm putting through the blueprint, and then going to the Grand Slam, which will be the licensing of the blueprint.
Yes, absolutely. Your Grand Slam is licensing.
Yeah,
100%. So I think that's really good, and it's well thought out, and I think you've done a lot of work on it. Anybody else like to share what they feel theirs is, or are you struggling with this?
Sorry, Mike,
Cindy.
I'll respond. I'm struggling. So that's why I've got the 2 days, because it's refining it and making it. So I'm working on that quite strongly, and I'm hoping to get closer to it. I've done a couple of things and then researched it and gone back and forward. So that's something that I am struggling with, but I'm working strongly to that.
No, great. And thank you for being honest. And I think, many people struggle with this because they think, oh, it's easier to stick with what I have than try and go somewhere new. But what you have is only going to give you what you've got. And in the future, with AI, coming in and all those sort of things, what you've got may not be enough anymore. So, so I think it's really good that you're doing that. And the only thing that I would suggest over and above what you're doing now is when you get to a point where you think you've got something, run it through a focus group. Get some people together in the target market that may buy this or may support this by being partners with you or strategic alliances. Bring them into a room, tell them your why, your what, your who, your when, and your how, and let them engage with it and give you feedback on it. Inge, you wanted to mention something.
Investments?
Right. So that's your grand slam, is it?
Bitcoin?
Right. Okay. So that's which one is that? Your baseline, your stretch, or your grand slam?
No, the grand slam.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, I think that's a very good point because we've on our global intelligence updates occasionally over the last couple of years. I've just invited her again for next year. We have one of our directors, Lisa Dudson. She's New Zealand's money lady. She's brilliant. And she has a very simple model. She's been the best-selling author in money and property in New Zealand for many years. And she has a very simple model. And her simple model is you only make money in one of three ways. Property is number one. Business is number two. And basically any type of equities is number three. So equities would be Bitcoin would fit into that. And so her model suggests that you must have a financial foundation, i.e. your bank accounts, your insurances, some superannuation. And then from there, you must choose how to actively make money. But how you grow money that you've actively made may be totally different. So for us, we make our money through business, but we grow our money through property. So for you, you may be making your money through business and growing your money through alternative currencies, which fits in the equity scope. And there's a whole thing that she does, which I think is really, really good. I can do it, but I like it when she does it. She's got more credibility than me in doing it. But in terms of in each of those property, equity, and business areas, there are around about 10 to 12 different options that you can do. So there's only about 36 different options. So I'll give you so you understand this, and something you may all want to think about. So if you look at, say, property, which is something we all basically understand, you can renovate. That's one option. You can buy and hold. That's one option. You can do short-term leases like Airbnb. That's another option. You can flip property. That's another option. You can do something called sandwich leases, where you lease a commercial property, break it into sections, and then release those sections and make the margin on the sections. So there's 5 different ways just in that. If you look at the equities area, you've got alternative currencies, you've got, NFTs, you've got, standard shares, you've got futures, you've got push-pull options, you've got a whole range of different things in that. So there's 5 there. And in business, you've got startups, you've got franchising, you've got licensing, you've got branch networks for your business, you've got just sole trader as an option. So there's a few options there. So all of these things, once you understand who you are, then it's easier for you to understand what sort of model you should have to create wealth and what sort of model you should have to grow that wealth that you've created. Yes, Ian?
Yeah, just on this question of baseline, stretch, and Grand Slam, just last week we realized that we hadn't updated this since we had a new strategy of what we actually are taking to market. And I suddenly realized my Grand Slam product could be much more focused. And so Marie and I are meeting on Thursday to actually brainstorm it and come up with all the detail around that. I also realized that my baseline isn't really a baseline. I need something that I can do much higher volume on. And so it's a little bit like I only had these two options and I actually need three that will give me, that full range. And we know that people love to choose between three when they're buying. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And it's, people do love to choose between three. And you're quite right. I mean, we were in Mug and Bean the other day. For those of you that live overseas, that's a cafe franchise in South Africa. And I was saying to Lundy, look at Mug and Bean. It's Monday morning at 7:45, and they're making money. Not a lot, but there's probably 15 people in here already. So, and I think that's the thing that many of us in the consulting, coaching, and speaking space, we forget about that. We need traffic. We need feet through our business every day, like a cafe does. It's nice to have. That's where online products go well. If you have 24/7 webinars and things like that, we have a 24/7 webinar, and occasionally, particularly if I pay some attention to it, occasionally I'll wake up and see that there's $1,000 in our bank account that's come from somebody who bought a product off it, and I go like, "Wow, that's cool," So it's those sort of things that you need to tick along. Okay, thanks for the feedback, guys. Really good. Let's move on. Let's look at leverage now. So this is about choosing 3 methods of leverage for yourself. So the first couple are really what I call reactive ways of marketing. So media, so that's podcasting. Podcasting's reactive because, you go out into the great ether of a podcast and you hope that somebody listens and then you get a call from somebody who did listen and you make some money. Same with YouTube. Same with the videos you're doing, Ian, right? We've all got to do them. I see that my latest video came out like 10 minutes before this call because they come out every Tuesday. So it's the same thing. You do that and you're hoping that, somebody will at least get to know you better. And then maybe when you meet them, that you'll pick up them as a client. Same with blogs. Then you've got your Google and Facebook ads. They're probably a little bit between passive and active methods of marketing. So, LinkedIn ads, any other form of hardcore advertising, which is driving traffic to your door. And, that can be on a constant basis. I was talking to somebody the other day who's in the coaching space, and they're spending around $2,000 a month on Facebook ads, and that's their main way of driving traffic to themselves. So that's okay. It's not how I would like to do it. I like to be more in control than that, but definitely it's something that you can do as well. Then you're starting to get into the more active area. Partners, joint venture partners, strategic alliances, affiliates, people who champion you, people who are your advocates, people who just love you and start raving about you everywhere. It doesn't matter what you call these people. These people are really gold. And I don't think, anybody that I've come across really does enough work with JVs and strategic alliances. Most of us could do so much more work than what we're currently doing. Then there's referrals. Yes, we leverage through referrals, but I rarely come across a person who has an active in-place referral system, apart from hoping that the phone will ring and somebody's been referred to them. That's not really a system. So you want to systemize these things as best as you can. So you want to have a referral system. What's a referral system? You make sure that when you onboard every client that you go through a referral structure with them and you ask them for referrals, and you make sure on the anniversary of when they work with you, you ask them for the referrals and you have that built into a system. And then there's events as well. And so leveraging through one-to-many, whether it be your stages, other people's stages, online events, masterminds, call it what you like, but doing some type of events. So who has got 3 methods of leverage currently? I know you have, Ian. So maybe you would share those three things that you're doing to leverage your business currently, and then we'll hear from a couple of others.
Yeah, so obviously the media one is busy happening. The partner one is another one where I've got established partnerships with people who don't sell anything like my product, but sell to the same market. And so I've actually got a lunch tomorrow with such a partner to see how I can train his salespeople more on what we do and that kind, and vice versa. And then events is the other one. And that's suddenly attracting attention again. It's not something I've given a lot of attention to lately, but it's emerging again where there is a demand for events.
Right. Jeffrey, I wanted to ask you, do you have 3 methods of leverage currently? And if so, what are they?
Oh yeah, so there, all of them are a little bit in a first stage, I would say, and not everything fits together. The first one, I'm doing email outreach, so that's my main way. I have events that are going on. For now, they're not really good targeted, but I have at least people showing up. And referrals, but here, as you said, I don't have a system, and it's just something that I hope will work.
So if you can create a system for your referrals, you'll be better off. If you can start to get more bandwidth and start to work with some strategic partners, you'll fill your events a little bit better. There's no doubt about that. And then your list will, if you're naturally communicating with those people as you come on board, people are going to get more familiar with you, and then you can make many more direct approaches. So you're on the right track. That's really good. Well done. Karen, do you have 3 methods of leverage at the moment?
No.
It's the right answer, right? So most people don't. What are you using at the moment?
So I would say we're developing alliances quite a lot because of the service that we're offering is very, very niche, and it's got to, because it's very high levels of trust, it's got to be through so referrals and alliances are where we kind of, and it's a slow kind of developing those relationships, and we're getting there. They're suddenly starting to, like, somebody's now asked us if we developed that that health check audits thing. Mike, you helped us a bit with that. We're just renaming it because we don't like the way it was named, so we're thinking about that still. But we've suddenly got two families who are doing it, and so that's like, yay. And that's through like a kind of alliance relationship that Naz has been grooming up in Pretoria, and she's really, really good at that, so that's amazing. And there's such a bigger base up in Johannesburg, the Johannesburg area. So yeah, and then we're being invited now to stages as well, but completely kind of inadvertently. So that's also great. Naz and I are both doing TEDx.
Good. Excellent.
In October. Yeah, I'm terrified.
No, it's really good. Well done. Excellent. Good stuff. Okay, so moving along. That's really good. Another TEDx guru in our midst. Excellent. So we've looked at value, we've looked at leverage. Now let's look at some preparation you need to do in order to be market ready for the next few months. And so the question is, are these up to scratch? Your brand collaterals. In other words, your brochures, your order forms, your sales presentations, etc., any marketing material, is that up to scratch? So, Ian, your stuff's great. I've seen that. Karen, your stuff's really coming along well. There's a few other people that are coming along well also, so that's great. is your sales presentation up to scratch? Notice I bolded that one and made it all in capital letters. You know, I can't tell you how many people I speak to who do 95% of the things pretty right and then have a really poor sales presentation. And it's like they close like 2 or 3 out of 10 people that they're working with. And you sort of go, you should be closing 8 out of 10. So your sales presentation is where you need to do the work. And, you know, when was the last time you refined it? When was the last time you updated some of the pictures in it? When was the last time you updated the case studies in it? When was the last time you updated the testimonials in it and things like that? Is your payment gateway right? You know, I'm running a webinar tomorrow and another, well, actually not tomorrow, the day after I'm running a webinar. I'm running 2 webinars in the next 2 days. But one of them, I know my payment gateway is not right, and it's something I've got to do today. So, because I want to make sure it 100% works, and I've got to test it a few times before I go live, because nothing's worse than you having excited people who want to buy something from you and your payment gateway doesn't work. Those sales are gone. Those people are probably gone. They're not going to come back. So they're the fundamentals again. We're talking about fundamentals today. They're the fundamentals that you need to have up to scratch. And I guess the big question overall, is it easy to do business with you? One of my big issues, because we do a lot of travel, is as soon as something like a hotel is not easy to do business with, I'm on to the next one. I was looking at somewhere in France, because we're in France next week, where we're going to be for 4 days. And they say to me, just download our app and, you know, you'll be set. So I immediately went, no, I'm on to the next one. I don't want to use an app. Why don't I want to use an app? Because A, I'm never going to use it again. B, it's going to all be in French for sure. C, half the time I've used apps for travel, they don't work. And I've always ended up having to go and find somebody to come and help me. I just want a person who hands me a key, right? So that makes it easy to do business with. So if I can't get that, I don't want it. I'll take a box with a code where a key sits in, no problem. I'll let myself in. But apps and all the technological stuff for travel, half the time it's more problem than it's worth. So people go, oh, but it's so easy. Yes, it's easy for you, the owner, but it's not easy for me who just flew halfway across the world and just wants to get into my accommodation. Now I've got to download the app. Oh, it's not available in my country, so I have to wait to get to your country to download it. You know, it's all those sort of things. And so I could rave on about that forever and ever, but we do the same things. We don't make it easy to do business with us. We don't make payments easy. I was saying to one of our clients the other day, try to keep QR codes for people to pay to a minimum. For instance, if you're running a live event, don't use a QR code for people to buy something from you. Why? Because some people's phones QR codes don't work well on. Some people don't really know how to use them. Some people don't want to type their information into that. Put a form down in front of them that they fill in. At least give them the option, one or the other. So that way if you just have QR codes, you're gonna lose sales. So make yourself easy to do business with. And then really just a couple of final things to bring the fundamentals to a close is, are you recognizable? And this is a fundamental for all of you, that you really need to stand out. There's a lot of white noise in the marketplace at the moment, globally. There's a lot of people yelling about AI this, AI that, every career's over, every this is over, have you got your AI, et cetera, et cetera. I don't necessarily buy into all of that, although I think AI, we definitely have to be part of it in the future. It's just the same as you can't ignore social media. You can't ignore AI. But more important than all of that is, are you recognizable? And if you're not recognizable in today's marketplace, if people can't easily identify with you, if you change your branding more often than, I don't know, somebody changes their clothes, then it's going to be difficult for people to identify with you. Stick to a core brand message. You can change things around it, but if you have one core brand message, for us, it's we help conscious leaders play a bigger game. That's it. I mean, there it is right behind me if you're looking at my picture. Play a bigger game, 100%. So have that recognition there. So I just want to go back through each of the slides today, and starting with this one. Success comes down to the amount of value you have multiplied by how you leverage that value. You have to constantly refine your value, and you have to constantly look if your leverage methods are right. Before you move forward in the next few months, make sure your positioning is up to scratch. Declutter what's online about you that will make people think that you're still, selling hamburgers at McDonald's like you did at 17 years old, and tidy up your LinkedIn, your website, and your digital footprint. Make sure that you have 3 simple products that people can buy at different levels. A baseline product, something that's going to pay the bills for you and keep the lights on. Something that's next level up that they can pay for. It's not going to be cheap for them. It's a stretch. And then something that can really, really rake in the big cash for you, and work mostly on getting your baseline right. Leverage, make sure you have at least 3 active methods of leveraging your brand, meaning that these methods are refined and that you're using them constantly, okay? And make sure at least 2 out of those 3 methods are active, not just social media posting type things, which is a passive method of marketing. So ads, somewhat active, partners, definitely active, referrals, events, and there's other things here that we haven't talked about today. These are just examples. And then make sure before you hit into the next part of your market that your brand collaterals are up to scratch. Your sales presentation is where it should be for this part of the year, and looking forward to the next 12 months, make sure your payment gateway is clean. And overall, make sure that you have a recognizable brand. So that's essentially what I wanted to share with you today. Does anybody have any questions, feedback, comments, or things that they would like to add in before we bring our meeting to a close?
I've got a question, Mike.
Yes. Go for it.
You were talking about leveraging.
Yep.
What do you do in the case like where, in my case, for instance, where I'm a service provider, and I do need the one-on-one contact with producers, directors, crew people in the film industry. So I don't really have a means of leveraging. How can I apply that to my business?
I think leveraging for you is going to be about strategic partners. It's going to be about people who can open doors for you. Leveraging for you is going to be about maybe hosting some events for different people that can hire you so that they know that you're around, showing them samples of your work and what you've been working on lately. Remember that in an industry like yours, it's sort of like, it's like speaking a little bit, meaning that somebody says to me, oh, well, I saw Mike Handcock, and you go, well, when was the last time you saw me? And they said, oh, no, I saw you back in 2011 in such and such. I go, like, you haven't seen me, right? The same thing is they haven't seen what you're doing now. What you were doing 5 years ago is not what you're doing now. So bringing people together is a good leverage strategy so that they can see samples of your work, and getting strategic partners together. They'd be 2 examples for you.
Great, thank you.
And then maybe combining that with social posting so that people just in your industry see what you're up to and what you've been working on lately, and things like that.
Instagram posts, Facebook posts, all of that.
Yeah, those sort of things. And people in your industry aren't good at it. So I think, the producers are good at it, but, the average person's not good at it. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a very well-known actor. And I said, what have you been working on? He said, well, for the last 6 weeks, I've been playing cards every day with Brad Pitt. I go, doing what? He goes, oh, I'm working on a movie with Brad Pitt. He goes, but it's so damn boring. We just sit there and play cards all day. And I said, oh, okay. but, you know, he would never go and, you know, he's not a major actor. He's very well known, but he's not a major actor. But he would never go and, you know, grab a photo of that and say Brad Pitt and I playing cards on set. I would have with my marketing brain and said that, right? You know, because it's showing people in the industry, you know, who he's hanging out with. So, and the level of people that he's playing with. And that's what you've got to do in all forms of business. It's not about having photos of you with Richard Branson on your website, because quite honestly, that's just fake. But if you're having genuine interactions with people, if you're working on a particularly poignant project, maybe you can't post it now, but after the film comes out, and
Right, yeah.
especially if it's, you know, if it's good in the box office or something like that, you know, you can use that and say, hey, I was really glad to be working on this film or that film or something like that. And just keeping those posts up. Or a good one for you is, back in 2020, I worked on this. It was an exciting project. It can be those sort of posts.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Great. Well, thank you for being on the call today. Ian, you've got the lucky last say.
No, I just wanted to say thank you because, you know, we've put this whole strategy together and I never went to that last step of what do people actually buy. That, you know, that was just stale from a previous era. So I'm very, very excited about getting that sorted out. And it's actually quite simple. So that's my big implementation, is the three levels of offering.
Wonderful. Well, lovely to see you all today and have you all on the call. Next week, we've got Christine Yip. She's an amazing, very production-orientated consultant. She works in the productivity, which are the systems behind your business. So I think that's going to be really interesting to listen to what Christine has to say. Have a wonderful day ahead, folks, and thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.